All right, Mitch, we've got the videos done here. I'm going to send them in two different videos just to keep things siloed so we can keep all the information for junk removal on one, all the information for dumpster rental on the other. Really glad we were able to take some time to dive deep into this just because it's a pretty staggering difference from what we found here between the opportunities that were available for junk removal in Green Bay versus the opportunities that were available for dumpster rental. So starting to take a look in junk removal here, I just want to break down some of these things. You'll notice that a lot of this information isn't filled out on this form, but if we go over to dumpster rental real quick, you'll see it is. I'll get to that in a minute, why all that is. So starting out here, taking a look at everything, what I first want to go over is the market population size. I had sent you a message before saying, hey, what are you doing in Brown County? How far do you travel? Things like that. I mean, after I did some quick research, I realized it doesn't really matter, but at least for within Brown County, because most of the population is condensed into here. So what we did is we got this number from adding up the population of Green Bay with, oh man, I'm going to butcher these, DePere, Alous, Bellevue. You get what I'm getting at. I don't even know how to say that one, Hobart and Howard. But so what we did is we looked at 2019 Google ratings for population, figured out where we're going to go from here. We're at about 200,000 people. Does your state county require a license for this niche? I don't know. You tell me. If you have it, that's great. You know, if it does, and we're licensed, just because that's going to be a barrier to entry for some competition. Don't know what it is for dumpster rental there too. I'm sure you're going to need a dot number, things like that. I don't know if you're going to need any additional licensing, but it's neither here nor there at this point. It's just one of those things where if you do require licensing and you have it, it helps weed out some of the competitors. Number of active businesses in the niche. So that's going to be our competition. We have over 20 plus junk removal companies in the area. This is high volume, low volume. Actually, I forgot to change this for you here. This is low volume. And I'll get to that in a minute. It's actually very, very disappointing what we're looking at. So first off, just to break down how we did some of this research when it comes to the keywords and the volume that is coming through. We're looking at summer months here on an average, which isn't a good thing, you know, especially when we're talking about the seasonality of the niche. And we did that through a tool called Mangolds. So we sorted this down specifically to Brown County, just so that we can keep things focused in as best as possible, but without getting too granular. A lot of these tools, they are just that, they're tools, you know, they're estimators. It's not going to give us the exact amount of people who search junk removal Green Bay, Wisconsin, or junk removal Green Bay on there, but obviously the higher the number, the better. The more traffic, the more search, the more demand. And for a county that has over 200,000 people, this is a very low number. And when we started to look at some of the variations that are on here, so we've got junk removal Green Bay, Wisconsin, just the regular term junk removal, you know, service, appliance removal near me, hot tub removal, hoarding, cleanup, some other services that I'm sure you offer that we didn't list on here just didn't even show that they're having 10 searches a month. So things like shed removal, that is on here, but that was very sporadic. Things like we have construction debris removal, you know, hot tub removal service, things like that. These other variations of terms, hot tub removal near me, nothing. This is definitely the bulk of it. I highlighted these two things here just because I'm not really sure if there's going to be a benefit to ranking for them, even though there's volume, because Green Bay garbage pickup, the city takes over the entire page here. And for terms like this, a bulk of your calls are going to be people thinking that you are the city dump. I mean, maybe some calls come of it, but we're competing against a government website there, just for most people to confuse you for the government. So I didn't count this. Same with trash removal. This had what's called a keyword difficulty of 47. It goes on a scale of 1 to 100, 1 being the easiest, 100 being the hardest. And, I mean, for 10 searches a month for trash removal, that's not a huge money-making keyword. Like if you rank for that, that's not the make or break here. So I didn't count these. So then what we're looking at here is around 170 searches a month. Not 170 customers, not 170 calls, 170 searches. Again, it's an estimate, but if we even put this within like a 20% give or take, you know, with what it is and what it isn't, best case scenario, it's like 200 searches a month. people do a couple of searches sometimes when they're going to buy stuff, so it's not even 200 customers. And then getting down into the part that's unlisted here, where it says number of citations, top 3 local listings, just to be sure you and I are on the same page here. Local listings is another name for GMBs or Google My Businesses. You obviously already know what a GMB is. You already have a GMB, and that has to do with this map pack. So this has to do, it's a map directory. This has to do with your geographical placing in town, your relevance. So depending on where I'm at in Green Bay or Brown County and I look up different terms, different places are going to show up depending on where I'm physically located. And if you notice this term here, does this look like low-hanging fruit? What that means is that, do we feel that there's a spot in this map that if we built a website and got a Google My Business going, could we knock them out? The answer is yes, because this one doesn't even have a website. It should be fairly easy to pick them out. But it might not matter, just because what we did is we took a look at some variations, right? Junk removal Green Bay, WI for Wisconsin, junk removal Green Bay, and what you'll notice here, you're number 1 on both of these. And I mean, you know, you just told me you're not getting a lot of calls, right? So what we did is we pulled up a heat map, and how I was telling you about this map here, where when you click on it, it's going to show you results based on your location. Well, we have a tool here that can show you that result regardless of your location. So when people look up junk removal Green Bay, Wisconsin, the number 1 guy's you. And not just in one spot where pin drops, but throughout Green Bay, like you're number 2 right on the coast. But, you know, even when we look up without the WI and it's just junk removal Green Bay, you're still number 1, and I'm sure it's going to look very similar to this. When we take a look at some of the what are called organic listings, organic rankings, so this is just where the website itself is ranking, not your GMB. We've got guys like 1-800-GOT-JUNK here, and using that same tool, Mangools, we can take a look at some of the estimated visits on a site. Unfortunately here, when we take a look at their keywords, see junk removal Green Bay, they're ranked 2. It's estimated they get 6 visits from this a month. Junk removal Green Bay, Wisconsin, they're ranked 2nd overall, 4 visits. Green Bay furniture disposal, Green Bay garbage pickup, furniture disposal, it's 13 visits, man. I hate to say it, but like junk removal, like it can be done. A site can be ranked. You could even get a lead generation site up to absorb some more of that traffic and funnel it your way. But when you look at expenses, you look at spending currencies like actual money, time, sweat equity to get one of these things going, or to really try and buff out your site, I just don't think it's worth the squeeze in this situation. So if it felt like you're doing a lot of SEO but things are slow, it's just because there isn't much of a market.